Welcome to the Silicon Valley podcast. This is the first time. This is an historic day, and we have an amazing guest, Nana Knight. So good to have you here.
Great to be here, Luis. Thanks for having me.
We're also happy that you're part of the chapter. But I want to get started getting to know you a little bit more. How did you get into this profession? I know before you were a prosecutor. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, after law school, I went into active duty. I served as a JAG officer, military lawyer in the Air Force. And as a JAG officer, I started prosecuting cases in my first assignment. They just, without any hand-holding, they just gave me my first trial, fresh out of law school, and I love doing trials. So I was a prosecutor for 4 years, and when my husband and I, we served together. He was in the Army. When we separated, it was a natural thing to fall back to the prosecutorial career, and we ended up working as deputy district attorneys in 2 counties in California. We did that for close to 10 years. And then I decided that I want to test my entrepreneurial skills and set up my own firm. And I've been really happy with my decisions, and I really enjoy running my own law firm as a criminal defense attorney. So I've switched sides.
So when did you launch your law firm?
So I started Knight Law in 2024, and we're based in San Jose. And it was a one lawyer law firm when I started, and then we grew. I got a paralegal working for me and helping me out, and now we've expanded to 2 lawyers. My husband, Chris, joined me last year. So it's the 2 of us, and we just hired another legal assistant, and we're in the process of hiring a 3rd attorney. So we're growing. It's really exciting to be in this growth phase.
Yeah, very exciting. It sounds like the growth is coming pretty quickly. I don't know the process of scaling up a law firm, but it sounds like you guys are growing at a pretty quick pace. So tell me about the transition from being on the prosecution side and now being a defense attorney.
So it was interesting. I was prosecuting very serious cases, murder cases, gang assaults, gang shootings in Salinas, the cradle of civilization for the Norteño Criminal Street Gang. And so I really enjoyed what I did. That made me realize that was an interesting experience in my career, and I loved doing what I was doing.
Getting
justice and public safety. But at the same time, I realized maybe I should try my entrepreneurial skills and get an opportunity to pick and choose my own cases. So the only way you could do that is if you do criminal defense. And I really loved criminal law. I've always been fascinated by criminal law. It was a little bit of an adjustment from the prosecutorial mindset to the defense mindset. But at the end of the day, we're all enforcing constitutional rights and making sure that due process is followed and rights are not trampled on. As a prosecutor, and as a defense attorney.
Yes, I was hearing a lot of the videos you have on your YouTube, and one of the points that stood out was that a case could fall apart if the prosecution, just the strategy is flimsy, right? And so the defense team, their job is to make sure to poke holes and create the doubt, right? So I found that pretty interesting.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not about getting your client off necessarily. It's just looking at the entire evidence and making sure that all the rules are followed and keeping the government honest. And I, as an insider, someone who's worked as a prosecutor, I know the system in and out because I was filing cases, I was charging cases, I was prosecuting. So I think the feedback from our clients is they feel like they have an advantage working with a defense attorney. I could imagine.
How common is it to do what you did from just going from one side to the other?
It's not uncommon. I think it takes not a lot, but it does take a business acumen to be able to run your own law firm. Because you're running a business, you're not running a nonprofit. So you have to understand marketing, you have to understand business expenses, the operation side of the law practice, which a lot of lawyers, a lot of prosecutors don't want to deal with. They just want to focus on the law, and that's great and admirable. But I've been really pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoy the business side of things.
Yeah, I wouldn't think there was so much of the business side, right? Scaling up a law firm. But as I get to hear your story, One question I have for you is, what made you want to join BNI?
So Peter Pasmani
Okay.
from Pasmani Brothers Landscaping, he actually talked to me about BNI and raved about the chapter and seemed like he was having a lot of fun. Our kids go to the same school, and so that's how we know each other. And he invited me to guest at one of the BNI meetings, and I loved it. It's a very different environment for a lawyer to be in because you're in the presence of all these entrepreneurs, and it's really refreshing, and I love
Of all
meetings.
calibers. That's one of the things I find so valuable about BNI is you come in contact with people from different industries that you wouldn't traditionally just collaborate with. We have doctors, we have physicians, psychologists, a lot of contractors, and yeah, so I find that to be incredibly valuable. So what was it in that first meeting that made you decide to join, that you're like, you know what, this would be a good fit for my business that I just launched?
So the energy, the camaraderie, the sense of humor, you could just tell people really like each other. And I really enjoyed that environment. I told Peter, I said, I really like this. I think I want to give it a try. I've been in for a little over a year.
Yeah.
And I hope to get invited next year to rejoin.
No, I'm pretty sure the renewal process is going to be super smooth. We're all so happy to have you be one of the members of our chapter because you brought a lot of strength, and we just feel like we have backup just in case we ever
You
need
always
it.
do.
We're like, that's good. But let me ask you this. How did you get into creating content? Because one of the things that stood out from you and your business right away was just the consistency in which you make content and the quality of it. I was watching a couple of the videos, and the amount of information that you give in a single video is a lot, very generous. I don't know, tell me a little bit of what drives you to create content, what advantages in your space of creating content.
So content creation really allows me to use my creativity, which I think if you were to say, what is one of your strengths, I would say I tend to be a creative person. And it was really a great outlet for me to bring in and showcase my creativity. I look at my content as edutainment. So it's like education and
Yeah.
entertainment. And I really I'm very passionate about the topics that I talk about. And I want our community members to know about their rights and how the criminal justice process works, what to do when you're contacted by law enforcement, because we all have rights, right? So it's a very enjoyable process for me, and I intend to keep making content. I do have a YouTube channel with longer videos, and those tend to be entertaining as well. It's a lot about thumbnails on YouTube.
Yes.
Not clickbait necessarily, but you do want to create curiosity.
Yes. Yeah, there's definitely strategy to it. What's next for you, though, in this space of content creation? Are there any projects that you're working on that excites you?
Yeah, so I just published a book on domestic violence, what to do when you're arrested for domestic violence, which is actually a very common thing in our county,
Yes.
Santa Clara County. And so this is a practical guide on what to do. It's called The Night Advantage. The book.
Title.
Yeah. I just tend to multi-use my last name a lot, and my marketing people seem
Great
to like that.
marketer.
So the book is a culmination of everything we have to offer to potential new clients or people who are facing the criminal justice system for the first time. I have 2 other books that are in the works right now, and another one, the third one, is geared specifically for victims because we do a lot of victim representation. We're not one-sided, and that's a natural thing as a
Yeah.
former prosecutor to
Yeah.
work victims. I do have a newsletter that we send out in terms of content creation. I love writing articles, so I don't know if you got a copy of our newsletter.
Yeah, no, I follow the YouTube for sure. Big fan, and that's why I was excited to have you as the first guest
Yeah,
here.
no, appreciate
No,
it.
that's really exciting to see everything you have in the pipeline. One of the takeaways I had is I felt like I was way more informed after seeing your content, because most of the time a good amount of people would think that defending someone that, I don't know, is labeled a criminal or something, automatically it's like, how, right? But once you started breaking down like the case where I think it was like a sexual assault, where I think you talked about one case where the girl accusing, there happened to be video, right? And just to know how you can almost save someone's life, where if they're convicted of something like that was totally unfair, it would ruin their lives. So my takeaway was just that there's so much information that we don't know that can make all the difference.
It really does. And the first thing people should understand is it's never too early to talk to a lawyer. You feel like there's something in the works where there's any hint of being involved in any criminal investigation, you definitely want to talk to a lawyer to prepare yourself for that potential eventual contact by law enforcement. And I'm not saying this to protect people who've committed crimes,
Yeah.
right? But in our job, we do see a lot of false allegations.
Especially in the domestic violence, right?
Yeah.
I would think that there's just a lot of accusations thrown that are maybe more than what actually happened, right?
And unfortunately, it is a trend with domestic violence allegations, sometimes, of course, sexual assault allegations, where one side tries to gain an advantage in a case, a divorce case, for example. They do end up reporting the other party to law enforcement just to get that leverage in the pending divorce case.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes very effective.
Yeah.
But if the allegations are fabricated, as a defense attorney, our job is to expose those fabrications and to pull apart that allegation, really explore what's behind that.
Yeah.
What are the motives? What's the bias and the reason to fabricate, which
Yeah.
is a crime.
Yeah. No, you make a great point about not being too early to get informed, because I could imagine someone that begins to see some patterns of dysfunction in the relationship and maybe could already see something like that happening, an accusation, and maybe saying, you know what, I'm going to be careful with my text messages and just make sure that I'm covered, especially those individuals that maybe have a high net worth, that have a lot to lose, or maybe they have a position in their company that would be jeopardized. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, buyer's remorse is a real thing. Consensual contact, and then one of the parties changes their mind and for whatever reason decides to report their partner for sexual assault. It's not always true. It's not true. It's not the truth. Let's just say it that way.
So what would be the best way to refer you? Talk about maybe the ideal referral. Describe a case where if we come across someone in that situation, that would be in your...
Yeah, so most of our clients are tech people because we are in the Silicon Valley, and we do get a lot of highly educated tech workers, a lot of immigrants who are here on temporary visas, who get entangled in domestic violence allegations for the first time in their lives, and they're just shell-shocked. Our job is to guide them through the criminal justice process that they find themselves in unwittingly, right? And also, but not only that, also address the collateral consequences relating to their immigration status, because everything is on the line for those folks. I would say the majority of our clients are those high tech workers, highly educated. They're like they're part of the team, definitely, but they're like the second or third lawyer on the team. They're so smart and really enjoyable to work with. But we also have young adults whose parents come to us for whatever reason. Their child is involved in some investigation or has been charged with a crime, and they're just trying to save their kid.
Yeah, sometimes they're athletes with the scholarship. And one of the cases you mentioned on the DUI was that you were able to help get it dismissed was that the breathalyzer was not calibrated. And so things like that, right?
Technical things. It's just... That's what it is, right?
No. And the other takeaway was that the whole proceeding is to make sure that everything's being followed the way it should, right? Where the prosecution is doing things right, and they're the ones that have the burden of proof.
They do.
And a lot of times it's not so much of whether the individual is guilty or not, but also their rights, if evidence was collected properly. And that I found pretty interesting, because at the end of the day, we do need a justice system that operates the way it should, where if someone's getting evidence or intimidating, right, I think one of the common ones is police will just knock and begin having a conversation, and next thing you know, they're like inside the home. And so very interesting stuff to just be equipped and know.
Everybody's presumed innocent, including in situations where you're formally charged. Before you're convicted, you are presumed innocent in our system of justice, criminal justice system. So it's important to realize that. And I often get clients who ask me, how do I prove that I'm innocent? And I always tell them that is not your burden. Burden is on the prosecution to prove that you are guilty. So it's a burden that I had for a long time as a prosecutor. The standard is beyond a reasonable doubt. It is the highest standard known to man. And we're lucky to have this legal system in our country where there's checks and balances.
Yeah, that was so interesting, especially when it comes to individuals that sometimes just find themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time, right? Where they're alleging self-defense, but then the technicalities, and next thing you know, they're fighting for their lives.
Yeah.
And they were just at the wrong place, and based on the laws, and having the right team behind you could literally make the difference of your future. So all that's super interesting. Fun fact is I'm also fascinated with criminal investigation. I actually wanted to be a homicide detective.
I remember you telling me that, yes, when we met.
But I just couldn't see myself doing just police work. I'm just fascinated with that. First 48 was like my favorite show for a lot of seasons. But it's also, I don't know if once I'm there, I can handle it. I like watching the mystery and the intrigue of solving a crime, but sometimes I faint with blood.
I think you would have been great at it. I've worked with a lot of great detectives in the assignments that I had as a DA, and they do great work. The ones that I've worked with, I really respect them. It's a lot of fun, I think, in a lot of ways. You don't necessarily have to deal with blood, but it's for law enforcement. I think the best ones that I've seen are able to build good rapport with the suspect that they're talking to. If you can do that and get information as a law enforcement officer, I think that's a tremendous strength.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I've seen the interrogations and the tactics that they use of connecting with the individual as they're talking and eventually making them feel comfortable, where they just feel that the best thing for them is just to confess. And yeah, so it's been pretty interesting. Very exciting to have you here on the podcast. I hope that everyone watching understands much more of what you do, the impact that you have for your customers and the community. And very exciting to hear everything you have in the pipeline. Are you going to have a book signing? Are you launching the book? Is it already out?
It's already semi-out. We've talked about doing a potential book launch, but we're trying to figure out the logistics for that.
Maybe one for BNI?
Absolutely, would love that, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Where can we get that book?
It's going to go on Amazon, but you can also email me directly. I'll send you a free copy.
Yeah, no, I want to purchase it. I have a friend that's been in the process of writing a book. He's a psychologist, and my way of encouraging him is I Zelled him $30, and I'm like, I've given you the money, now I just need the book. Come on, bring it to us. So I like supporting, so I'll definitely be buying some copies.
But as a BNI chapter member, you're going to get it for free, so.
Generous. Awesome. Great having you here, and we're going to stay connected to see maybe in a couple years you might have your own show. Would you ever do it?
I would. I love, as I said, content creation is one of my passions. I could totally see that happening, yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.